Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli back with another review video and continuing on, of course, with the Christmassy reviews on the weekdays. And that's right, guys. You read the title, and as was clearly teased in the last Christmassy review, I'm sure you figured it out right away because, another Christmassy film that has the family in the title and the last word in the title having the word stone in it. Is it obvious? You figured it out. Yes. And not to mention, this one Christmassy film is celebrating its anniversary, and I gotta say, this one Christmassy film that is about family, it was pretty interesting. And I'm not saying it in a bad way, of course, not in a negative way. No. So that's right, guys. I am now reviewing, from 2005, The Family Stone. Yes. 2005's The Family Stone from 20th Century Fox. Yeah, again, this was pretty interesting. I knew very little about this. Yeah, diving into with the first things I have to say about this movie. Again, I knew very little about this movie. I was familiar with it. I had seen a few of the posters and knowing whom is in this movie, but yeah, it's a good thing I didn't watch any clips or anything like that. And yeah, to sit down and finally watch this movie from beginning to end in all of its glory, yeah, I mean, for one thing, it didn't disappoint for me. I thought it was pretty good. Not bad at all. I do recall, and shout out to my mom, she had seen this before, but, just being one of those people that didn't get into it, and if you're not into The Family Stone, like my mom, then that's okay, you're entitled to your opinion on this movie, yeah. But for me, not a problem for me. I will say, because there were a lot of moments in this movie that, very awkward and cringy, I want to say. Just, that kind of stuff. And if you've seen this movie, you know. But besides that, because everything that goes on in this movie, with its characters, getting to know each of the Family Stone members, and those that, spend time with the Stones on Christmas, from Christmas Eve to Christmas Day, and, there are, of course, a lot of hilarious moments to come from this film, but at the same time, there's a lot of heart-hitting moments, a lot of emotional stuff, that's for sure. Great acting from this film, and the fact that, because with combining of the humor and drama and all that, how it was done in this film, pretty well done, yeah. And from what I read, and according to one of the cast members, that was quite a challenge for them. But, they managed to pull through. They managed to succeed. Yep. With Thomas Buzoek's writing and direction for this movie, with great talents that are in this movie, I will get to momentarily, and also, this being a Christmassy film, and, how this Christmassy film dwells on this family, what's going on with this family. Yeah, we're in for a ride, / Christmassy treat, I guess you could say. And also, the music and score in The Family Stone, done by good old Michael Giacchino. Yep, really good. Giacchino, just whatever, yeah, it's Giacchino, that's right, Giacchino. Yeah, but yeah, it's always a delight to see whenever Giacchino does music and score for whatever movie he's doing, and, not to mention that, he did this. It was one of his next movies after he did, say, The Incredibles. And speaking of The Incredibles, a little Incredibles reunion for both Michael and one of the main cast members, the voice of Mr. Incredible himself. But yeah. Alright, but just, yeah, overall, I found myself enjoying this movie, despite that, yeah, I was definitely feeling, like, the awkward and cringy moments, but at the same time I was feeling the hard-hitting moments. I got some good laughs and chuckles, and I smiled a couple of times in this movie. Yeah, because the one part that made me smile quite good, we'll get to. Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, because a lot of good moments that come from this movie, even towards the ending, it makes you smile, right? Just, yeah, especially when it comes from a movie like this that's Christmassy, without a doubt. All right, but yeah, just overall, The Family Stone, it's a pretty good, funny, hard-hitting, Christmassy movie with family, diving and dwelling on family, the Stones, just, yeah, what more do I have to say? Okay, so with the first things I've had to say about The Family Stone done / out of the way, now, as always, for me, read the description / the story. An uptight businesswoman accompanies her boyfriend to his eccentric and outgoing family's annual Christmas celebration and finds that she's a fish out of water in their free-spirited way of life. That's a good way of putting it. You know, fish out of water, and if you know that term. Anyways, okay, so now with reading the description / the story done and out of the way, let us now dive in / break down The Family Stone itself. Okay, well, after the 20th Century Fox logo shows, right there, like, we then play Let It Snow, and then we see one of our first main characters, Meredith Morton, a, workaholic businesswoman, very uptight and such, being played by good old Sarah Jessica Parker, and whom is going to be spending Christmas with her boyfriend and her family. And we also have Everett Stone, one of the Stone family members, being played by Dermot Mulroney. I hope I said his last name right, yeah. And, yeah, he at one point is buying one of his sisters a Christmas gift, his sister Amy. And when we come to the Stones, yep, because we have, the dad and the mom of the Stone kids. We have Sybil Stone, being played by the late, great talented legend herself, Diane Keaton, and Kelly Stone, being played by the voice of Mr. Incredible himself, as I said. Yep, good old Craig T. Nelson. Yep, and the rest of the family members that come in, well, we first see Thade Stone, whom is a little bit deaf, but he can hear quite a little, but not enough, yeah, and each of the family members doing sign language and all that. That's good to see. Yeah, Thad Stone being played by Tyrone Gordano. I might have butchered his last name some, but again, you know me sometimes. And his partner / husband, our gay characters, gay couple for this Christmassy movie. Patrick Thomas being played by Brian White. Yeah, I know I've seen Brian White before in some other movies. Good actor. Yep, good guy. So they come in, and even like the mom sneaking up to Thad and such, and, wishing them a Merry Christmas. They're here. Then we have one of their daughters, Susanna Stone, Trousdale, whom is, the first of the Stone siblings to have become a parent, and which makes, Mrs. and Mr. Stone grandparents. Yeah, she's the first. Susanna Stone being played by Elizabeth Reeser, and her husband, John, is going to be showing up very late in this movie. Yeah, he's tied up and such. But even before Susanna steps in, we have the other sister, as I already mentioned. Everett was getting a Christmas gift for her, and at first, and throughout this movie almost, she's kind of a brat, and especially being very harsh on poor Meredith, and that, of course, being, our favorite sibling of the Stones, Amy Stone, right? Come on, didn't we all love Amy? Well, and the fact that I'm sure we all knew that Amy was going to develop as this movie proceeded, right? So just, yeah. Amy Stone being played by the lovely, talented Rachel McAdams, yep. So Amy arrives in her, not so good looking car and bringing her stuff in. And apparently, yeah, because she was the first of the Stone family to have met and spend time with her brother's girlfriend. They were at a dinner at New York, and she basically describes to everyone, those that have so far come to the house, on what Meredith is like. Not very pleasant and very rude and all that, just, yeah. Then yeah, Susanna steps in, and also, Susanna's, little daughter slash little girl, Elizabeth Trousdale, being played by young Savannah, Stellan. Yeah, I think I got the full name right, yep. Also, Susanna is, at this time, pregnant with her second child. And I think it's obvious that, yeah, she's gonna end up having the baby towards the end of the movie, right? And probably by next Christmas. But anyways, but then eventually, both Everett and Meredith, they would make their way to the house, and everybody whom has so far have arrived at the house, they're all looking out the window, getting their first glimpse at Meredith. Even when Kelly Stone goes out to try to greet Meredith, you know, wanting to give her a hug, but she wants to do a handshake, but, you know, he insists on a hug, and it's awkward and all that. And it doesn't take too long for things to get pretty awkward and uncomfortable. Yeah, because right away Meredith, you know, feeling uncomfortable, and especially how each of the Stone family members, how they're interacting with her at first. Well, I mean, some of them aren't that bad. Like, I can think of most prominently, say, you know, Thade and Patrick, Kelly, Susanna, especially Elizabeth, yeah. But as for, say, Amy and Sybil, like, yeah, not so good. Even little Elizabeth, she complicates on Meredith's shoes, her high heels. In fact, at one point she would try them on. And then at one point Meredith, well, because at first, you know, Everett and Meredith, they'll share a bed together in the house, but Meredith, she refuses to do so on account that, you know, she's with her boyfriend's parents. They're in the same house. So that's when it would lead to Meredith having to borrow Amy's room. Oh, jeez. Like Amy's gonna be okay with that. Of course she's not. And even Mrs. Stone, she doesn't like this that much either, kind of taking her daughter's side almost, yeah. First bad impressions, that's for sure. Then, a little later, another one of the Stone family members, the other sibling, the last Stone sibling that arrives for Christmas, Ben Stone, being played by Luke Wilson, the brother of Owen Wilson, of course, yeah. And Ben Stone arriving, and, one of his sisters greeting him, as well as his mom, and his mom right away telling him no pot. Because, you know, he does pot, apparently. And when he would reunite with his brother, then when he would, for the first time, meet his brother's girlfriend, Meredith, of course, well, a little hint that, wow, he finds her very attractive and such, but that's just the beginning. Yeah, and if you've seen this movie before, you know. Anyways, but still, like, not going so well for the first time, and now that Meredith has arrived, now that she's settled in, and on account that, well, Ben has arrived and such, and also Elizabeth, she was trying on Meredith's high heels, and she at one point broke one of the, heels, and, well, Susanna being very sweet and kind to Meredith, offering that, you know, they can fix it, there's glue, but, you know, she passes on that. Even Ben offered to help, but no, she passes on that too. Then a little later, they would go out for pizza. But it still doesn't go that great, and even when, like, Meredith, she would most prominently explain how and where her and Everett first met. And, yeah, not the best, first time, meeting love story, I guess you could say, that Meredith explains. It just still goes bad and not very good, good first impressions, and up to the evening. And then afterwards, and after they all had pizza, they would be back home and they would settle down, and at one point they would play charades, even getting Meredith to join in playing charades. And Amy, she pulled a dick move on Meredith. Like, what she suggested and handed to Meredith on what to do in the charades. Yeah, a movie, 3 words, 4th word, etc. And, you know, having a bit difficulty with this. And when she's kind of like pointing at Fade's partner Patrick, that, yeah, Amy calling Meredith racist. And not that Meredith was intentionally being racist, you know? Because, you know, technically she was pointing at Patrick, you know, because he's African-American and the bride wearing black and such, you know, that whole thing. Yeah. That did not go so well. And even when they realized that, yeah, it was on Amy, yeah, because even, I mean, Ben, when he confronted Amy, he took this very well, because, like, just grabbing her and nugging her, you know, why do you have to be so mean and all that? But yeah, that didn't go so well, very awkward and such, and, well, I mean, it didn't take too long for Meredith, and earlier in the day, to realize and sense that, yeah, her boyfriend's family so far not liking her. And even when at one point she would call up her sister, and the fact that later on, Meredith's sister will be coming over to be with not just her sister, but her sister's boyfriend and his entire family for this Christmas. Julie Morton. Yeah, we haven't gotten to Julie Morton just yet, but oh yeah, she's definitely another one of these important characters in this movie. And oh gosh, because when Julie steps in, oh man, because it gets pretty interesting. And if you would immediately realize. Okay, but continuing on point, because yeah, then later in the evening, and, you know, everybody goes to sleep and such. Well, at one point, Sybil and Kelly, they're talking about, you know, that, yeah, obviously their son Everett is going to want to have the ring, ask for the ring, because, you know, he is planning on proposing to Meredith, but Mrs. Stone she's just not really sure. She doesn't know about this, and just, yeah. Well, at one point, we would see that Meredith actually would then check herself into this hotel inn. And, but of course, you know, still coming back over to their house and such. And even when she tries to help out, like, you know, make coffee and such, and Amy wanting coffee as well. And, you know, even when at one point Meredith, she confronts Amy front and center, like, what did she ever do to Amy and all that for Amy to despise her right away? And just, yeah, and, well, then even Meredith would explain that to Amy that, you know, she doesn't care if Amy doesn't like her or anything like that. And all that Amy could say with an attitude is like, sure you do, you know. Oh, Amy. And, yeah, because, again, just things still not looking good for Meredith, and on account of the Stones. But, you know, Everett at one point, there's a moment where he does confront his family about their behavior and demanding that, you know, they get along and be nice and kind to his girlfriend. But they can't take him seriously, even when, of course, yeah, Amy is the one that's going to say something, and not taking her brother seriously, but man, when he slaps and, you know, he hits something, oh, he's dead serious. He's not joking around. Now, rip out their fangs and be nice, how he puts it, just, man, yeah, he means business. Yeah, don't mess with Everett, and on account of him loving his girlfriend. Yeah, but, then what would happen next, and to speed things up some, because, well, there would be a moment where, Susanna notices, her mom, very quiet in her bedroom. She had been napping, and, well, apparently Susanna finds out about what's going on with her mom, and when Sibley Stone asks her, does anybody else know? I was like, oh, is this where I think it's going? And sure enough, when at one point we cut to Ben and Kelly, spending father and son time at a closed football field in the winter, literally. And they both get stoned. Well, at one point Ben would ask, what's going on with mom, with his mom and such. Kelly at first, trying to tell Ben that nothing's really going on, but, Ben gets the sense of feeling that, no, something is clearly wrong with his mom, and he starts to break down, and that's when Kelly comes clean and confirms to Ben that, well, mom is sick again, and this time, there's no chance that she's gonna pull through this one. No, because apparently she had been sick before, but this prognosis, this time, it's for real, and she's not gonna recuperate and, pull herself out of this. No, not this time. That's very sad. And after they would come back, they would spend some time to each other, and after getting stoned, well, Ben, he would immediately go straight in for a very warm, big hug for his mom, and Amy being clueless when she steps in, wondering what's wrong, and, each Ben, Kelly, and Sibley, when she realizes that, yeah, Ben knows, they just say that nothing's wrong, everything's going all right. Yeah. Yeah, this movie had to pull this one, didn't it? Oh well. Anyways, then at one point, Everett and Thade, who's accompanying his brother, Everett is trying to buy/pick out the perfect engagement ring since, at one point earlier, he tried to talk/ask his mom for the ring that once belonged to his grandmother/his mother's mom. But, she says no, and she promised him at first on account of the first girl he was in a relationship with, and she liked his son's original girlfriend more than, as of now, Meredith. But yeah, so that didn't go well, so now we have Everett trying to get an engagement ring himself. However, Thade does tell his brother that, yeah, he's on the same page with everyone else, that he shouldn't get married to Meredith and Everett. He can't believe that his deaf brother is telling him not to. Well, it's Everett's decision, okay? It's his choice, it's his life. If he wants to marry Meredith, then so be it, Just one of those things. And then at one point, a little later, Everett and Thade, and actually, because after Everett did pick out the perfect engagement ring, they actually would wait at a bus stop to pick up Meredith's sister, Julie Morton. Yeah, and also right before that, because another mentioning on Amy, because, this was mentioned and brought up to Meredith about, this one guy in town that Sybil Stone knows of and thinks would be a perfect fit for her daughter, a guy by the name of Brad Stevenson, and apparently Brad Stevenson popped Amy's cherry. Okay? I'm sure you know what that means. But yeah, so I couldn't forget to mention that. And I think it's obvious that we're going to see Brad a little later, right? Yeah. Anyways, as I was saying, Everett and Thade, they would be at a bus station to meet/pick up Julie Morton, and yeah, we see Julie Morton herself being played by the lovely, talented Clara Danes. Yep. Just like what happened with Ben when he found Meredith attractive and such, now Everett finds his girlfriend's sister attractive too. He's marveled by when he first sees Julie. But then she would slip and fall off the bus. Ouch. And she would kind of scrape her knee. Oh man. But, she's all right. Later on. And then, yeah, we cut straight to where everybody's there in the house. All of them, they're trying to attend to and help out Julie. And this shows right here, because, yeah, they seem to appreciate and like Julie more than poor Meredith. Well, I mean, yeah, and especially on account that, both sisters, Even though they're sisters, they're kind of the total opposite. Yeah. Also, to talk more about Ben and Meredith, because, yeah, it is slowly but surely building up, right? Because I think at a certain point we know at some point something's gonna happen between these two, right? Because, yeah, there was a moment where Meredith, she was in the car outside, and Ben offered a cup of coffee for Meredith and such. And Ben was this close to explaining to Meredith that apparently he had a dream where Meredith was in it. And he didn't get a chance to explain what was going on in his dream that involved Meredith yet. But yeah, we'll get there, of course, very shortly. Okay, but back to where we were, because again, Julie having arrived, she fell from the bus, got a bad scrape on her knee and all that. Everybody trying to help out, but Meredith takes charge, takes her sister and herself to the bathroom, and yeah, because now they like Julie more than Meredith, just, yeah. And yeah, a bit of sister talk between Julie and Meredith, and, because with Meredith having dragged her sister into this hellhole of hers, just, yeah. Then, on Christmas Eve dinner, because, yeah, as of now, we're at Christmas Eve, and they're having Christmas Eve dinner. It seems to go well at first. Some good casual conversations, like, each Julie and Ben talking about each of their jobs and what they do and such, the business that they each do. Then when the attention turns to Thade and his husband Patrick, and Sybil and everybody else being very acceptive of, Thade being gay and all that and such, and talking about, like, even Julie asking both Thade and Patrick if it doesn't matter to them, like, which child they're going to adopt, because eventually they will adopt a child of their very own, if it's going to be either black or white, but it doesn't matter to them, just, yeah. And Sybil, at one point saying that, she wishes that all three of her sons were gay and they would never leave her, yeah. But Meredith, when she steps in and talks something about, Thade and Patrick, the whole gay and such, yeah, it's not that she intentionally does this, it's just having a difficulty trying to make good conversations and such, because talking about, and pointing at Sybil if she would have been okay and such with all three of her sons being gay and like normal and all that, but yeah, this gets more awkward and such, and even when like Everett, he doesn't even try. I mean, he kind of does, but not a lot. And when Meredith keeps talking and, cuts Everett and all that. And then when Sybil just, like, doesn't want to hear any of this and sets Meredith straight. Then when Kelly, when he tries to step in, he's trying to tell Meredith and everybody else to, enough. He's saying it calmly, but man, he gets very aggressive, like, enough! Like, jeez. Yeah, I mean, he means it. That's actually in this movie. That's very rare to see Kelly in this rage, but understandable. Just but yeah, it ends badly. Meredith, she excuses herself and she feels guilty a lot more, and well, she does at one point try to leave the house, taking the car. However, her trying to back out and leave the property, well, she hits, like, shrubberies and, a tree and such, and they can hear this outside, and eventually, yeah, she would kind of wreck the car almost, not fully, but still, gets kind of stuck, and with how upset she is. Julie was going to check on her, but Ben, he volunteers to do so, which he does so. Everett, at one point, he's lost his appetite, and he calls it a night, and yeah, he just leaves the dining room place, yeah. And then when Ben steps out, he can see how upset poor Meredith is, and even when he's trying to cheer her up some, like having her rolled out the window, and is there a problem, ma'am? Just, but that doesn't really work, and that's when Ben, he has her move over. He takes the wheel, and he's going to take her to a local bar. And yeah, and then at one point, Everett, he wants to go and find Meredith because she's been gone for a while, and Ben hasn't returned, and yeah, Julie accompanies / tags along with Everett. However, when we would cut to each Julie, Everett, and Ben and Meredith, well, at the bar, because Ben is trying to get Meredith to calm down and to tell her that, she needs to relax, and, and the mentioning of her freak flag and all that, and in some ways, she is a freak. But with with what he says, convincing her, in a good way, of course, just, yeah, I see what Ben's trying to do. Then at one point, two guys would come in who actually know Ben and are friends with him. They went to high school, all three of them. We had Brad Stevenson. We see Brad Stevenson in the flesh, being played by Paul Schneider, and Brad Stevenson's fellow ambulance passenger, because they're two guys that work at a hospital, and they run an ambulance. They drive it, and Brad's friend, whom is his ambulance co-pilot, yeah, David Silver, being played by Robert Dugardi. Yeah, I think I said that right, yeah. But again, I might have butchered the name some, but again, me sometimes. So they show up, and, well, since Meredith had heard about Brad before, she's surprised to meet Brad and such, and by this point, and as we would proceed seeing them in the bar, Brad and Dave, they would hang out with Ben and Meredith some more at the bar. Yeah, Meredith would then get stoned and drunk. Yeah, well, not stoned yet, but yeah, she's definitely wasted and drunk. And even when at one point, she offers to buy Dave and Brad some beers, and gonna buy all beer for everyone in the bar, basically, on the house. It's on her. But then we would see that her favorite song plays in the bar. We got to get right back to where we, that song. Yeah. She dances. She insists on Brad dancing. Then she would invite Brad over to the Stones' house. Yeah, that's going to make it more awkward, right? But, yeah. When coming back to, at times, Everett and Julie, well, because they're still, trying to look for Meredith, well, they start to have a nice talk and talking about life and all that, and then Everett would then start to be marbled some more by Julie and such. And by this point, and how late it's getting, they've had no luck trying to find Meredith whatsoever. Then it would lead to where Julie would go back to the hotel inn, just inn, and, well, Everett, he actually asks Julie if he can take her out for a cup of coffee and such, but Julie, realizing this, and, she'll pass, and on account that, he's seeing her sister and all that, just, and he obliges, but, not easy for him, because as he was actually starting to like her, yeah. And at one point, someone knocks on the door in the hotel room that Julie's staying in. Could it be Everett? I'm pretty sure she was thinking it could be Everett, but no, actually it was Kelly. Kelly shows up, and he wanted to drop by and apologize to both Julie and Meredith. And, well, Meredith, she never came back to the hotel, but, obviously Julie's going to tell Meredith. Where Meredith is right now, well, after Meredith and Ben, they did end up getting stoned, because, Meredith at one point asking Ben where they can go to get stoned and such. Yeah, they did so. And outside of the SAB, outside of the house and all that, they keep talking and such, and finally, we learn from Ben what he dreamed about, and on account that Meredith was in his dream. Basically, he dreamt of Meredith as a little girl shoveling snow, and that he was the snow that she was shoveling. That's very sweet and romantic, wouldn't you say so? Yeah. And yeah, Everett, whom is back at the house because he still got that engagement ring he bought, and even when at one point he passed by, his mom's room, Sybil Stone, she tried to apologize to his son about all that's happened, but he didn't want to hear it. Little does he know yet what's going on with his mom. He's going to find out, of course, a little later on. Yeah. Well, Kelly, when he came back, he sees that Susanna's still awake. She's on the phone with her husband, whom is still stuck and tied and won't make it by very later the next day. He's going to, but it'll be towards Christmas Day evening time, basically. Kelly shouting out to John, wishing him a Merry Christmas and all that. And Amy, she's sound asleep right next to Susanna. Actually, because Susanna's watching Meet Me in St. Louise. Yeah, which that, technically being a Christmassy film as well. With Judy Garland and such. That movie. Clang Clang with the Trolley, but also Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Yeah, when that song plays, and a little montage when, Thad and Patrick, they leave the house, and when we would cut back to, say, from them to Julie to Everett, to Susanna and Amy. Susanna getting a bit emotional, and by watching the movie, and on account of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas being played, and when we would cut to Kelly and Sybil, and, well, Sybil, she's really upset, not on account of Meredith, because, the fact that, again, she's sick, she's gonna die eventually, and the fact she won't be here if her son Everett is going to marry Meredith for the wrong reasons. And even when at one point, she shows her husband Kelly the double mastotomy, if I'm saying that right, yeah, the scars and such, yeah. Very hard-hitting and such, wouldn't you say so? Yeah. And even when we would cut to Meredith and Ben, they're sound asleep in the car. And even when Everett, he tried to call up Meredith, but there was no answer, because they're sound asleep like that. They're passed out. They're conked out for the evening. But boy, what would happen next? The next morning? Oh boy, yeah. But it's a very emotional moment right here, and on account of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas being played, Judy Garland singing, and, Christmas Eve didn't turn out exactly as I'm sure everyone in the family was expecting. But, well, the worst is all kind of about to come when Christmas Day hits. Yeah. And by the way, to take a moment to talk about each of the characters, because I didn't get a chance to talk about each of the characters and, what I think about them, basically. Yeah, I mean, all the Stone families, Sybil and Kelly, they're not bad parents, and even as the movie proceeds, we especially understand on account of Sybil and what she's going through, and that she's not really upset with Meredith, as I said, but, just Diane Keaton, the performance that she brings to Sybil Stone, well, how can you not love Diane Keaton? Because such a Hollywood acting treasure for sure, and just with what she brings in this movie, of course does not disappoint, because this is Diane Keaton we're talking about. And of course, with Craig T. Nelson, another great talent, and what he brings to Kelly, yeah, he tries his best to have there be peace on account of the family and with Meredith and such, even when, again, he lost his cool at one point because Meredith wouldn't shut up and she kept going, enough's enough, Yeah, and as for the siblings, because, not bad characters at all, as the movie proceeds, they do develop, especially Amy. I mean, in all honesty, I'll go ahead and say it, because, Amy was one of my top favorite characters / siblings of this movie, because, again, she would develop as this movie proceeds. It's obvious. Rachel McAdams, such a talented, sweet, beautiful actress, she does not disappoint with what she brings to the character of Amy in this. And she starts off being nosy, snotty, well, not nosy, but still, very meanful and all that towards Meredith, but man, at certain points, and when, this one guy that has feelings for Amy, oh yeah, Amy would definitely develop and become a much better person. Yeah. And also, yeah, Ben Stone, Thade Stone, yep, they too were good, and especially when it came to Ben, I bet none of us at first were expecting how much development we would get from Ben, and on account that by this point, yeah, he definitely has feelings towards Meredith. But overall, I mean, Ben was a pretty good character. Sure, like, he has his moments in the film, but still. But on account that, yeah, we've got Luke Wilson playing Ben, he was good. Thad Stone being the deaf brother, he's a bit deaf, but still. He was good too, and yeah, both him and Patrick, the gay couple and such in this movie, they too were some pretty good characters. Even them, like, especially Patrick, he's trying to be the calm one and, you know, like Kelly, like, making peace and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really seem like he really has a grudge towards Meredith, just, you know. And Susanna Stone, yeah, because nothing bad with Susanna. She seems to be okay and on account of Meredith, and also her little girl / daughter, Elizabeth, she was cute and a pretty good character when Elizabeth gets her moments. Yeah, and of course on account of Meredith and Everett themselves, they too, being not bad characters, and as they would develop, especially Meredith, because, you know, the part of Meredith that's an alcoholic businesswoman and all that, but as she develops and how slowly but surely she reaches out to the family, especially on account of Ben Stone, yeah. See, and yeah, because that's what's great in movies like this, where how each of these characters start off, but as the film proceeds, they would get better on account of, like, say, in this movie, because how they feel towards Meredith, but it would get better and better as the movie, you know, very slowly but surely, you know, how it follows and such. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And everybody else that was in this movie, because, you know, from Brad Stevenson, whom, yeah, spoilers, he does end up being with Amy. Yeah, good character too, is how much we get of him. And all the other background characters, you know, from David Silver, you know, good character. We didn't get that much of him, but still. And also some of the others, like the jeweler who was running the jewelry store, helping out Everett with the engagement ring, played by Carol Locatell. Yeah, I might have butchered her last name some, but still, you know. Yeah, not bad character either. Jittery cashier, played by Gina Carter. Yeah, she was at the start of the movie. The bartender, played by Gus Buccanica, if I said that right. And Bus Driver 1, played by Michael Pemberton, and Bus Driver 2, played by Ron Wall, who, yeah, they're the bus drivers, and when we see Julie coming off the bus and is about to get on the bus. And a couple of other cast members, like those that did some voice acting, and, yeah, even, like, Judy Garland, technically, in the cast, uncredited, because, yeah, Esther Smith from, you know, Meet Me in St. Louise, yep. But anyways, so yeah, of course, and as I like to sometimes acknowledge the other cast members of this movie, but alright, getting back on point with the movie itself. So, on Christmas Day, if what all happened on Christmas Eve was bad enough, yeah, it still doesn't turn out that good on Christmas Day. Oh boy. Because, yeah, what would happen next is, yeah, well, those that wake up first. Kelly's awake, so is Susanna and her daughter, Elizabeth. They want to open stockings. Just the stockings, no presents, anything like that yet, until everybody's together. And Kelly, believing that, yeah, by now Ben has come back, and probably the same goes for Meredith, well, we would see Meredith sleeping in Ben's bed. And, well, she believes that, she and Ben did hook up, but, yeah. And we do hear Ben in the shower, and Kelly, he does open the door, and, well, it was too late for Meredith because she just sits there frozen, and, well, Kelly, he handles this very well. Just, yeah. And when he closes the door, he is in shock, like, oh my gosh, just, yeah. And Meredith's trying to clean herself up, like, put her clothing on. And even when Ben finally comes out of the shower, well, Meredith's pissed at Ben for what's happened. Then, when Everett gets up, well, at one point when he's in the kitchen, Sybil finally gives her son the ring that once belonged to Everett's grandma / Sybil's mom. And, well, then Meredith would finally reveal to Everett about her sickness, being not going to be able to recuperate from this. And Everett, he has a breakdown. I mean, who can blame him, of course? Yeah, this is his mom we're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, it's very emotional, of course, and how she takes it in, and how she comforts her son and such, like a good mom. Well, Everett, I mean, he's not actually going to be planning on proposing to Meredith yet, or if he's going to. And when Julie comes in, well, she just came in and to pick something up and such. However, Everett wants Julie to try on the ring just in case, to test it out. And Julie, she's not really sure, but Everett insists, and having the ring put on, it fits quite well. However, Julie can't get it off her finger, and this is quite of a struggle. They're trying to, each Everett, Sybil, and everybody else that steps in, they try to help Julie take off the ring. But then when Meredith finally steps in, well, this is the first time that, they're seeing Meredith, and the same goes for Everett. Where has she been? And, well, Meredith does lie, saying that she just came in. And, well, she actually at one point tries to help her sister get the ring off her finger. Then when Julie would reveal to Meredith that the ring she's wearing is actually an engagement ring that Everett was going to plan on giving to her, and Everett wanted Julie to try it on, test it out and such, Well, and since, when it comes to siblings, like, they would have the same kind of sized fingers, And Meredith would also mention to Julie about that she slept with Ben, and, And if that's not enough, well, at one point, a surprise visitor comes to the Stones family house. It's Brad. Yep. And I guess I missed this because, because apparently Brad is an ex-boyfriend to Amy. Okay. Again, I think I missed that because I know I would have heard them. I know I would have heard mentioning it, but oh well. But anyways, but I mean, even with them having broken up, Brad still has feelings for Amy, and wanting to, be straight and all that, clear up and such, And Brad surprising Amy, and when, Amy finds out that Meredith invited Brad to be here, well, of course, Amy is, pissed at Meredith for this. And then, when it would come to everyone getting together in the family room where the Christmas tree is, about to open presents, well, Meredith believing still that Everett is going to propose, and, she quickly, and by avoiding with whatever Everett is going to say to her, well, and because, things getting still awkward, she whips out some gifts that she has, and that, she's giving to each of the family members. It's photos. They each get the same photo of young Sybil when she was pregnant. And fun fact, because, that is an actual legit photo of a young Diane Keaton, but the fact that she was never pregnant in her life, never had children and such, that was very clever, because, the way they edited that photo, and obviously they obviously had gotten Diane Keaton's approval of this, and this is the part that gave me a smile. When Amy is touched. She's touched. Everyone else is, but especially Amy. She is touched, and she starts to cry when seeing the photo of her mother when she was pregnant, and Sybil pointing out to Amy that I was pregnant with you. I presume, in the photo. That was a good moment right there. But right after that, well, Everett would try to say something to Meredith, and, well, Yeah, because unbeknownst to Meredith, no, Everett was actually not going to ask Meredith's hand in marriage. And because everything's happening so fast, she finally shouts and saying, "I'm sorry, I can't marry you!" Just getting him to shut up and, yeah. And of course, he wasn't going to say that. And then it would be revealed that, that she and Ben slept. And it just gets worse. And, yeah, by this point, every family member of the Stones, they now have a different / good attitude on Meredith. They now feel bad, and they feel sorry for how they've mistreated her and such. And yeah, Meredith at one point, she goes into the kitchen. She actually is going to heat up one of the food entrees that come from her family, the Morton Christmas family dishes, yeah. And even when Sybil and Amy, two of them feeling guilty the most, they go in the kitchen, they try to, calm and cheer up Meredith some. Well, they accidentally open the kitchen door on Meredith, and she gets hit by the refrigerator door, and the food spills on her. Oh, God. And then when coming back to Everett and Ben, because Ben, he tries to establish, and apparently it turns out to be true, Ben and Meredith didn't sleep. He was sleeping on the floor, and while she was sleeping on his bed. But, yeah. Then it would lead to Everett chasing after is gonna beat the shit out of Ben, basically, And that bit of music from Nutcracker, yeah, it starts to play, and poor Kelly, he's trying to get his two sons to not fight and kill one another. Well, yeah, especially, Everett's gonna be the one that's gonna kill Ben. Oh, man, so much pacing going on, and when, a couple of times, each Meredith, Amy, and Sybil, they slip and slide on the kitchen floor, but they manage to have a laugh over it. But then it would lead to when, say, Ben and Everett, they would find themselves in the kitchen, they would find themselves under the table in the kitchen, and when Ben calmly explaining to his brother that, again, he and Meredith did not sleep, and even telling his brother that by this point, Everett doesn't love Meredith anymore, and both Meredith, Amy, and Sybil, they did overhear this, and they agreed to this. Yeah, because it is true. And then it would lead to where they accidentally break one of the table legs, and it would cause more dishes of food to spill. God. Of course, Christmas Day didn't turn out to be so great as on account of despite what happened on Christmas Eve. Of course, more disastrous things were going to happen on Christmas Day. Yeah. And by this point, also, during that chase, Brad and Julie introducing one another, they shook hands, we haven't met. I'm Brad, I'm Julie. That was pretty funny right there. Well, after all that crazy shenanigans, all hell breaking loose, the family cleaning up the mess in the kitchen, Julie calling up and is going to take a bus back to where she lives in Bedford. Yeah. Christmas Day didn't turn out to go exactly as planned. Now did it? Of course not. Of course not! Okay, I gotta calm down. Of course I'm just playing along, but yeah. What now? Especially since, it's over. It's definitely over between Everett and Meredith, that's for sure. Well, and even as of now, looks as though that, both Meredith and Ben, they are now officially gonna be together. Okay, but continuing on and to still speed things up some, because, we're almost up towards the end anyways, but so, just a little later, Everett wondering where Julie has gone to. She's left the house. Where did she go and such? Well, that's when both him and his sister Susanna notice that Elizabeth is wearing a ring on her finger. It's the ring that Julie had, and Julie gave it to Elizabeth, and, giving a message to Elizabeth for Everett that, she returned the ring and, said goodbye and such to Everett. But Everett, I mean, he doesn't like the sound of it, and he would soon, get outside, be all bundled up, and try to head back to the Hotel Inn. Yeah, surely, because she would be making her way back there to probably, obviously pack up and such on account that her bus will be here. And meanwhile, we would see that both Amy and Brad, they're in the ambulance van, and they have a little time together and such, and even when Brad, he shows the gift that he's gotten Amy. It's a snow globe. That's very sweet and romantic of him. Very kind. And they would notice, Everett passing by, and also, on account that one of the family vehicles drives out, and Kelly and Thade, they are in the car, and they offer giving Everett a lift to the hotel and such. And, what would happen for Brad and Amy next? Oh boy, because, we'll get there in just a moment. Because at the hotel, when they arrive there, and, because she's not inside, she by this point checked out, they do spot her at the bus stop. Yep, she's about to take the bus back to her home, and just in the nick of time, Everett arrives at the bus stop, just convincing and begging Julie not to leave, but Julie, with all that's happened and such, and, even when, just how much he now has come to love Julie and so on, and is she gonna stay? Well, not really, because she did get on the bus. However, just a few blocks away from the bus stop, it does stop. That means she's changed her mind. Yes, she did. Because, she goes back to Everett and asks him if he's doing anything on New Year's. Great. He got lucky. Yep. Finding the right true person for him. And even when we see Meredith and Ben, because Meredith, comes into Ben's room, snuggles with him, she changes shirts, and, they each start to sing and hum a Christmas song. And then finally, and, a little early in the evening, Susanna's husband finally came in, John Trousdale, being played by Jamie Collar. I think I'm saying his last name right, And even though we don't get that much of John in this, well, still, he was a good character with how much we got of him. I'm just, don't want to leave out John and compliment him, In fact, John points out to his little girl and his wife about whom he saw making out with Amy in the ambulance. Oh, yes. Now it's official for Brad and Amy. They're back together, and they're madly in love once more. Yep, rightfully so. And, with what else happens towards the end of Christmas Day, and the last we see of Sybil, and Everett, he at one point walks off by himself, because, he's very proud and happy that now he's found the right person, which being Julie. Then it fades to black. Then there's no text, but I think we would immediately tell, right? Because, 1 year passes, another Christmas has arrived, and we see the Stones family getting together again. We first see Thade and Patrick. By this point, they've adopted their very own child, which being a little black child. Then we would see Kelly. Susanna, she gave birth to her second child. I believe it is a baby boy. Yeah, I can tell. And of course, seeing, her husband there too. Yep, this time he's there for sure, John. And everybody else that shows up, even Meredith and Ben, they're together now, of course, officially, as well as Brad and Amy. Yep, they're a couple as well. And then Everett and Julie would be the last two to arrive on Christmas. They would light up the tree, and once everyone leaves the room, Amy and Brad, they're the last two characters we see in this movie, and Amy, she hangs up this one Christmas ornament that, as we saw in the beginning of this movie, Sybil stared at. Obviously, it was her favorite ornament on the Christmas tree, no doubt. And Amy getting a bit emotional, and yeah, Amy and Brad, they get the last lines, and then the camera would cut to the portrait of, of a young version of Sybil, and yeah, if it's already obvious, because yeah, unfortunately and sadly, at some point, even after Christmas, Sybil did pass away due to breast cancer and all that. Yep. Well, at least, she passed away right when, yeah, things did get better in the end. Yep, on the count of her entire family. Her two sons, Ben and Everett, they would find the two of them would find each of the right perfect women for them, and so on. Even Amy as well. Amy would find the right man, which of course being Brad. Yeah. Such a great way for this movie to end off. Even like there's like a Christmas portrait. It looks like it is a young Diane Keaton, isn't it? Because yeah, like sitting on Santa's lap, just yeah, because it's right at the end of the credits. I'm sure you've seen it, but yeah, just what a great way for this movie to end off. Yeah, on a happy note, that's for sure. When everything was going through complete hell and all that, just awkwardness, cringiness. But it all turned out great in the end, as we see. A great Christmassy, happily ever after, for sure. Yep. So that's our Christmassy movie a Christmassy movie about family and such. Yep. And with what this Christmassy film all about family had to offer. Yeah. Yeah. The Family Stone. What an interesting, and in a good way, Christmassy film that's all about family. What goes on with this family, the Stones? Everything that this film had to offer from beginning to end. The storyline, great cast of talents from Sarah Jessica Parker, Rachel McAdams, the late Diane Keaton, Craig T. Nelson, and of course, Paul Schneider, Elizabeth Reeser, Jamie Collar, Luke Wilson, Dermot Mulroney, Clara Danes, everybody that was a part of this film. They did a fantastic job with, what they did, and the whole thing of comedy and drama and how it was done in this film specifically. Just, yeah, according to Clara Danes, most prominently, yeah. And if you know about this. Michael Giacchino's music and score, of course, fantastic. The use of Christmassy songs, archive footage of Meet Me in St. Louise, Judy Garland, all that. The awkwardness, the cringiness, but at the same time, the hilarious moments, the hard-hitting moments, and up to the end. It ended off on a happy note, a happily ever after in this Christmassy film. That was great to see. Great chemistry at times, sometimes, but yeah, how things just are not good throughout the film, like how the Stone family feel towards Meredith, but slowly but surely it would get better. And how Meredith would end up being with the right person, which being Ben, and for Everett, being with the right woman of his life, that being Julie. Yeah. And even for Amy, getting back together with Brad and such. Yeah. And even when, Sybil Stone passed away happily, peacefully, and that everything was going so great in the family as of now. Thade and Patrick finally adopting a child of their own. Susanna finally having her second child. Everything else that was going on in this movie. Need I go on? Just, yeah. Overall, The Family Stone, it's a really good, enjoyable, Christmassy film about family and all that. And yeah, and if you can handle with what specifically goes on in this, yeah. But yeah, the more you would watch it, obviously then you would really come to appreciate and enjoy it more, right? Yeah. All right. Okay, so yeah, I'm giving, the final thoughts and words I've had to say about The Family Stone done and out of the way. How many stars I give The Family Stone? I'm giving it, why not? Just why not? Yeah. 8 out of 10 stars. Yes, 8 out of 10 stars for The Family Stone. And what about you guys? What did you think of The Family Stone itself? What was your first impression on the film itself? The first time you watched it, how you felt towards it, if you were feeling the cringiness, the awkwardness, no surprise. No doubt, of course, you would. If you had gotten a DVD of this, or if you saw it later on Blu-ray, digital streaming, all that, and if, this would be one of your top favorite Christmassy films that centers on family, and if you would watch this around the holiday seasons, yeah. Favorite moments, favorite characters, favorite lines, did you get some good laughs? Get teary-eyed when the heart-hitting moments hit? Yeah, no doubt. Just, again, overall, what do you think of The Family Stone itself with what all I've had to say, my review, and yeah, what did you think of my review of The Family Stone? Leave comments and give this review video a like as always. And so guys, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Family Stone. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I will see you guys in the next video / review. And, well, of course, continuing on with the Christmassy reviews on the weekdays, stay tuned because what I will be reviewing next, well, it's another Christmassy film that does involve family. However, in this one, well, it's not your normal, average Christmassy film, especially, very different than what, say, The Family Stone had to offer. This one in particularly, well, let's just say they would come face to face with a evil creature of Christmas with horns and such. Maybe some of you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but again, stay tuned for that. Take care, happy anniversary to The Family Stone, and peace out.